Hello and welcome to Meeting in the Sacred, a podcast where each week we invite you into diverse conversations about physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being in the pursuit of wholeness. My name is Teresa Noach, and I am an interspiritual enthusiast and published author with an eclectic Christian background.
And I am Danielle Chandler, a Christ Path mystic and wholeness coach. No matter where you are in life, if you are curiously seeking, deconstructing, reconstructing, struggling in your faith, or just feeling lost, you are welcome here.
Thank you, God. Thank you, universe and angels. We are on the same page. We are on the same page. It is episode 13 today. It is airing the day after Christmas. So right now for our listeners, and it is immediately the day after Christmas. So Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Yule. And we hope that you have just been moving through this as gracefully and gratefully as possible. And we're calling this episode Present Beyond the Presence. You know, when the dust settles and the leftovers are packed up and the surprises are no longer surprising, we start to put our feet back on the ground again and prepare for a new year. In many cases, in homes and hearts and minds, this is what we're doing, especially in the West or in America. And everybody celebrates the changing of the calendar differently, but we're going to talk about it from where we're sitting right now. And in this episode, I want to talk about how we move through the highs and the lows with ease and balance, and also why it's so important to develop the ability to do that, especially if we are looking at the calendar change of the new year as this big launching pad, as many people do. But I also know a lot of people have gotten away from, making January this big, I'm going to do all this stuff and then it fizzles out. So a lot of people have either gotten discouraged from starting New Year's resolutions, or they just decided to live like every day is a new year. That's me. I like to live like every day is a new year. But I'm also a person that loves rituals and traditions and customs, and so I enjoy all the New Year's. Like, I like to celebrate I'll celebrate the Jewish New Year. I'll celebrate I'm like, hey, we get New Year's all the time. But for me, as a mom of 3 children and married now, with Joe he's their dad. We've been married for 17 years, and our customs and holidays change somewhat. We had family move away like 8 years ago, and up to that point we had done all of our Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's stuff with them. And then when they moved, we just had to kind of reconsider what it looks like. But there are certain things that stay the same, certain things about the seasons, such as maybe we're going to be shopping during this time, preparing, planning to be at engagements or be the host of engagements, regardless of who comes in and out of our lives or even where we're located. There are just some things about the holidays, the intensities, the highs and the lows, that are just part of the package. They come with the deal. And, most of us won't escape it or even desire to. And some of us may desire to escape it altogether, but we know that, it's an uphill stream. And so we just get in the flow and try to have as much fun with it as possible. And that is definitely where I'm at these days in my life. Get in the flow and have as much fun with it as possible. What about you?
Yeah, I think that's a really good place to be.
It is a good place.
As you were talking, I was just thinking, like, why is it that it feels during, I guess, the North American, Christmas holiday celebration, after Thanksgiving, and well, I shouldn't say North America, because in Canada, their Thanksgiving is in October, but still, there's kind of this, movement into Christmas and then the New Year's. But I'm like, oh,
what about the other holidays? Like, do we see this type of hustle and bustle, if you will, around those holidays? And it's not really so much, which is kind of interesting, because with Halloween, for instance, or Valentine's Day, St. Patty's Day, and 4th of July, it just kind of intermingles into people's schedule. It's like, oh, it's just another day that we get to plan something and have it in our lives. But for some reason, around this specific season,
Yeah.
it seems a little different. Not really sure fully why, but to come to a place where you can find the ability to access fun in the middle of all the tension and the ups and downs, and like you said, kids and being married and growing, figuring out who you are, all of this stuff. It really does, I think, take time and intentionality and healing to get to that place where you're able to look at certain situations and be like, okay, how am I going to have fun in the middle of this? And like, how am I going to bring joy into this? And, transform whatever is happening in my own perspective so that it doesn't just impact me, but it overflows into my environment, which for myself, I've been actually thinking about recently, how do I show up to, be, I guess, something, and I don't even know what that something is for the younger generations that are in my family, looking at how, I guess, I observed older people growing up during the holidays and how they acted around me and behaved. And it was just something I was recently reflecting upon, and moving into, the new year. How does that kind of all play out? It was just a really interesting thought to ponder on.
You mean
So,
like how they're just the way they did things impacted the way you do things, or the way you kind of carried on certain things without even thinking about it, just kind of carried on certain attitudes or
yeah, I think when you're young, when you're a kid, you don't necessarily think the way that you do when you're a teenager or an adult. And I think as you get older, these different stresses that we tend to have, especially during the holidays, or, entering into the holidays with hurts and pains, trauma that we're trying to heal through, from the past that maybe we're being triggered by or whatever. We're not necessarily, I guess, viewing life and those younger years the way that we do now. And something that I was identifying was, how can I look at my behavior right now and what I'm going through and how I'm trying to process things, and look at how the people of my, I guess, within my family, how did they behave at Christmas time, or how did they show up? Were they engaging? Were they connecting with me as a kid? Or were they withdrawing? Were they walking out of the room? Did I notice any behaviors that I thought were weird? Or like, were people wondering where so-and-so was and they would just walk out of the room? And so I guess I became kind of introspective as I was in certain situations over the holidays and
what
trying to
triggered that?
understand.
What triggered that for you? Because that's a lot of thinking. That's a lot of
Yeah,
thinking. And it seems like something must have happened that you went, oh, like, where did I get this from? Or like, how did it spiral into that?
yeah, I think that there were some mild, tensions that I felt internally within myself that I had never actually dealt with before. And
Around the
so,
holidays.
yeah. And
Around the
so
holidays. Okay.
I had decided that I would pull myself aside and kind of process through what was going on, and, just kind of sit with, how do I actually want to show up and light of what I'm feeling and what am I really feeling.
Did it
You know,
have
is
something
it,
to do with someone that was younger, or when you say, you were processing the way this next generation, is it just thinking about how did other people's actions as adults impact you and how you're responding to things now? And like, are you processing kind of thinking, well, how can I maybe do this differently so that, my children experience this whole interaction differently? Is that kind of like a
yeah, that's along the lines. I think when we have our own triggers and we're trying to self-soothe or, attend to our wounds in whatever way we choose to, for in this specific situation, I decided to walk away from what I was, I guess, feeling triggered by, and sit with myself and ask myself all of the questions that I just shared to kind of gain more internal awareness of what was going on within me. But then I also started to identify, like, wow, I've removed myself. Am I also doing anything else, any other behaviors that, might seem somewhat strange to other people?
I
And is this
gotcha.
is this a memory that I want the
Mm.
younger people to, I guess, reflect on, like, oh, like Danielle was gone like so many times during this holiday, or, she was acting this way. And when you get older, you start to connect these dots and put things together. And, it was something that I was trying to be really intentional with, to reflect upon, to be like, okay, like, how can I take care of myself, but still show up in a way that I would hope that people would enjoy.
Well,
you know
I'm learning again,
Mhm.
refreshing my memory in this area and applying the um, the shifting of my energy to receptive mode. Um, I love to think. I love to analyze, and I often think
Me
that,
too.
and I know, right? And I often think that I have held on to the idea that we make mistakes, we learn from them, and a part of that learning process, or even don't even call it a mistake, but sometimes choices that maybe we go, why'd I do that?
Mhm.
Whatever it is, these things that we do that we feel some kind of way about, that we end up sitting and pondering and thinking, and whether or not we are doing it intentionally to learn and grow from it, that is usually the result of what happens. We usually learn something from it. But when you enjoy analyzing and logically pulling something apart, that's one thing where a lot of people, could probably benefit from being able to just take that moment and say, you know what? I don't know what it was. I know I feel better when I engage this way, and I don't feel better when I engage that way. So I'm going to be led by what is receptive and what is easy, what feels good. Now, this is all within the context of feeling good, because I could say something like, well, it will feel good to not go to that dinner party. It will feel good for me not to go out into the living room right now while everybody else is participating. It will feel good. And feeling good in the moment versus an overall general sense of feel good. If my intention is that my life is peaceful, that my life is abundant, that I'm experiencing joy on a consistent basis, if those are my intentions, and I don't know many people who really, if you ask them, would you like to live in a state of joy? Would you like to live in a state of peace? Would you like to experience, this type of momentum in your life where you just don't worry about things, where you just aren't in a state of overthinking? Like, don't you just want to chill the heck out? Like,
Mhm.
if we ask most people if what they really want in life ultimately leads to their ability to chill out, right? We want everyone in our life to be, we want our loved ones to be, especially when you're a parent and you're like, I just want them safe and happy. I just want them safe and happy, and I want them to have a good future, and I want them to have a good da 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 da. mainly I want them safe. Like, especially, you know, we become really susceptible to fear as parents with all of the alarming news going on, bless you, you know, and I don't even watch the news, but somebody will make sure that you know about so and so that happened to so and so that happened to so and so. And sometimes I'll just get caught in the stream of somebody's like news vomit. And I'm like, I don't even watch the news for a reason. You just vomited Fox Channel 12, you know, the entire 2 hour episode on me. I don't watch it because I don't want to carry all of those burdens, because I'm not equipped to carry all of those burdens.
Mm.
And so where I'm getting at with all this is that I think at the end of the day, even when it's our intentions are simply, you know, I want what's best for this person. But why do I want what's best for this person? Let's be real. Because if this person doesn't have what's best for them, then I'm also going to be uncomfortable. If my children are not safe, I'm also going to hurt. Like, I am going to suffer. If something happens to my child and my child no longer is walking this planet, my child's not suffering, I will be suffering. So ultimately, I want everyone else to be okay so I can be okay. Straight bottom freaking line. Let's be honest. We want all to be okay. We all want to be okay. We want to be able to put our head down at night and sleep knowing that we are going to be okay, that our hearts are going to be okay, that we're going to be okay. And so I think that if we remember that we can embrace that feeling now, the feeling that we think we'll have when everything else is, when everyone else is, when I grow to this point, when I did it, when, then I'll feel. And really just getting to this place of knowing that right now is all I have. Now. And now. Like, it's all now. And in this now, I am okay. I'm chilling. I am chilling. And it's like I have had this revival of that beautiful place of, especially like this week, I will say. So I'm hoping to get a streak with this, but guess what? All I have is now. So now. And these nows will turn into a compounded streak. And I know that it's inevitable, because if I move my energy into that place of right now, I'm okay. Right now, I'm great. Right now, I feel, wow, there's a lot more going for me right now than there is not going for me. There's a lot more in my life feeling good. Matter of fact, the general consensus around the world right now is that the majority of people have more than they know what to do with on this planet. And the majority of my life is also abundant. And I think that anybody that's listening to us right now means, number one, you have the capacity to actually listen to a podcast, which means you got a lot more going for you right now than you do not going for you. Period. You have a lot more going for you than you don't have going for you right now. And you can shift your attention into what is going for you and what that feels like when it's going well for you at any given moment. And when we do that, when we stay in that momentum, then the situations around us begin to change. And I love the teaching, and quite a few teachers nowadays embrace this. So I'm not really sure exactly where it's rooted, but I know that it's not there's nothing new under the sun, but it's related to the law of attraction and the idea that you have to be a vibrational match for something in order for it to come into your space. Now, that gets really deep if you unpack it, because, you know, we experience things that don't feel good. We could experience somebody that out of the blue did or said something, and this altercation happens. We could, whatever it is, you know, any of the variables that could happen, and we're just not feeling good about it. We don't feel good about this situation, this interaction, this whatever it is. It just doesn't feel good. But why? But why doesn't it feel good? So there is something within us that is vibrationally calling to that experience, because that experience, though it doesn't feel good in a moment, is also teaching us exactly what we want. When we experience what doesn't feel good, we know immediately what does. And so when we are experiencing something that doesn't feel good, we still were a vibrational match, meaning that we needed that experience to come to show us the opposite of that. I don't like the way that feels. So I'm going to simply move into what feels better than that. And if I don't like the way it feels, to deal with the repercussions of not showing up in the living room. That's what I was going to say before. We can say, oh, it feels better not to go. But here's the thing. Does it feel better later when you have to have the conversations with the people that you love? Does it feel better later when you're laying there going, darn, I wish I would have went? So that feel good part needs to apply to the long-term experience, not just the short-term experience. I could say it feels better not to make my bed every day. But at the end of the week, when it feels even more better, mo better, to be when it feels mo better to be in my nice clean room and my bed sheets are all would it have felt better for me to just make the bed in that moment? So that whole feeling better part also has its own set of requirements in order for it to truly be in alignment with actually feeling better. Because I could say it'll make me feel better to have this cookie right now, right? But at the end of the day, do I feel better? Am I really in line with my health goals? So feeling better is also, does it feel better in conjunction with where you truly want to be and what your true intentions really are?
And I think that goes back to, we talked about core values in previous episodes over the holiday survival guide series that we're doing. But yeah, feelings, I think, are inside of us for really good reasons. But we have desires, and it's up to us to learn how to manage those desires, because we're so intricately made. And to sit with these ideas of desire, we have desires to eat, we have a desire to have sex, we have a desire to sleep, we have a desire to exercise to whatever degree and level. Their appetites, how much of these appetites do we I guess want to give attention to? And sometimes people actually withhold their appetite, and almost, I guess, become to some degree anorexic, and these different spaces where they aren't actually attending to these desires or these appetites. And revisiting our core values and aligning to them to say, okay, like, is this feeling that I have driving me towards what I really want, or is it driving me away from what I really want? And then there's the component of, reflecting on the example that I gave with my specific situation, there's the element of relationship. And so it's like, how do you engage in relationship? Because that's going to look like something very specific. And what kind of intentionality and how much intentionality, and so it's these questions, these empowering spaces that we get to enter into in these opportunities. But just like you're talking about the feelings, to show up or to hide, I think that in itself also communicates something about where we are in that moment. But I love that, we do have these seasons in our lives where you began this episode talking about inviting joy into all of these situations, and for myself, in my specific example, it's not that I was void of joy, but it wasn't necessarily what I was focusing on. But at the end of what my hope is to enter into joy,
Exactly.
with the solution that I believe is going to work best for me.
Exactly,
So
but you wouldn't have even been, exactly. There is that step. That is a step in creating what you desire. Because your desires are evolving and changing based on those contrasting experiences that we have. Because had not you had that experience, perhaps you wouldn't have even contemplated these other areas of profound opportunities to expand in the way you experience the world and the way you show up for yourself and other people in life. And so that's why you were a vibrational match for that uncomfortable situation, because you are calling in that contrasting experience, so to speak, with your energy. and realizing that without this contrasting experience, I might not have been triggered to think about how uncomfortable that was. And
Yeah.
therefore, I want to understand how to be more comfortable because I didn't like that feeling. So I want to understand how to be more comfortable going forward. And so, how do I first inspect this before I can actually create the desire that I would like to have? Let me understand what I did not desire and how that transformed
Mhm.
into that feeling that I didn't feel good with. It didn't feel good. I wanted to get out of it. And so, how do I, that is one of the steps in creating and manifesting and projecting what we desire and want to, as Abraham Hicks would say, become tangible from the vortex. And many of our listeners probably have listened to Abraham Hicks. Have you?
I don't think so, but you've mentioned his name to me a few times.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Esther Hicks actually is a channeler for a higher consciousness that goes by the name of Abraham. And when listening to
Oh,
them,
sorry.
yeah, that's okay. When listening to them, when listening to Abraham, um, it sounds a lot like things that God would say. So this person is channeling a frequency, a high frequency intelligence, and it's really just incredible and profound. But Esther is the channeler of Abraham, right? Esther and her
Okay.
husband, Esther and her husband Jerry are like leaders in the law of attraction. Like
Mm.
they coined that phrase. And so I had listened to them, oh gosh, like 25 years ago. I started listening to them, and I had a cassette tape. And I don't even know where that cassette tape came from, but somebody had handed it to me because that's what we did back then, like instead of hitting that share on the YouTube, we'd be like, oh, here, and we'd pass over a cassette
Mhm.
tape. That's how young I am. And and so I had a cassette tape, and I remember popping that thing in and listening to this over and over and over again. And it was so before its time, really, because it wasn't for another, oh my gosh, it wasn't for like another 5, 6, 7 years that they had gotten so much traction with the mainstream with The Secret. And
Mhm.
that's where Esther and her husband Jerry Hicks and Abraham, the high consciousness intelligence, that's where they really started to become super popular, was through their books, which also made headway with The Secret, and then they were featured in that. So, side note, if anybody's listening and is familiar with them, a lot of people that are in the deconstructing or mysticism are familiar. And so one of the phrases that they use to describe the place of holding, so to speak, for everything that you've ever thought or created, they use the term vortex. And so what they say is we are always putting something in the vortex. We're adding to the vortex, and everything in the vortex becomes tangible when we are an energetic match for it. And so it took me back to, as I've been being refreshed with these teachings, and it has been just transforming the way I experience my time. It has been transforming the way I feel, because I'm reminded of how to posture myself in a position of receiving as opposed to achieving and striving. So we just came through a lot of really, really harsh, strong, powerful Mars energy, Mars and Scorpio. And that is, especially for me as a Aries sun, Mars is the ruling planet. And so it is a very fierce, get it done, get it done. So I had come through this like wormhole of like 2-3 weeks of really working myself so hard physically, trying to get just ungodly amounts of things off my checklist each day. I talked about this, I think, in our last episode, that I was like, burning the candle at both ends with trying to get so much done. And this energy was just so strong. And I was like trying to use it to my benefit, thinking I'm going to just get all this stuff done. But then I started to feel this burnout. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is imbalance. I am imbalanced. And one of the things that I talked about in the beginning of this episode is, how do we move through the highs and lows with ease and balance? And that is one of the things that I really put myself in check this last week, because in going into this holiday season and gearing up for a new year and having all these amazing plans for life, which I have had, and I'm walking in them. But I started thinking, this is a lack mindset too. I started thinking of how I need to utilize this powerful energy right now as much as I possibly can. I need to ride this wave, so I need to really get as much done. But that's noble, but it's also um, almost like a self-sabotaging kind of energy, because working that hard actually tells the universe that I don't believe that I'm going to receive. It puts me into a position of striving, which then begins to counterbalance anything that I could just be receiving in pure abundance. Now I'm trying to do it all myself. And this little thumbs up just came on the screen.
Yeah,
Did you do that?
no. I'm
What
like,
was that? Wait, what?
that was
You didn't
cool.
even do that?
No.
Oh my God, it's on video. I'm telling you, there's all kinds of things coming out of the vortex. So, so the vortex is, the place where we put everything. So I started listening to Esther and Abraham Hicks again, and it was like, I feel like, the spirit just sent me those videos in perfect timing to say, hey man, like, chill out. You're actually being counterproductive right now and stressing yourself out in doing so. So chill out. And so to everybody who's, sitting in this place of, it's the 26th of December, and you're probably, in one sense, relieved. And then on the other sense, you could be experiencing like, coming down off of a high. You could be sad. Maybe there's people that are leaving that you're happy to be with. Any which way, that the likelihood that you're feeling this like a kind of come down off of all of the climactic energy that's happening for the last 45 days or more. Now, for a lot of us, we're going, well, we're gearing up for New Year's Day, right? And then it's a big New Year's Eve party, and then we have another come back down to the planet. And so we're going on these highs and lows. And I was doing my best to prepare for them because I don't want to be caught off. So I was also in like trying to control mode. And so when these videos came across, I was like, man, this is what I forgot. Like I forgot. I slipped into these energies. I got sucked in. I got sucked in to this, and I let myself get into that place of overachieving and overworking and trying to make things happen. And God sent me these videos to remind me that that's not where the sweet spot is. And the sweet spot is in that place of, even right now, holidays or no holidays, like our listeners, we're all on similar paths. Our paths are intersecting and crossing, whether we use different language or we're in different points in our paths. Obviously, we all are at this one point right now together. You hear us, we're talking to you, we're intersecting at this moment. So obviously, our paths are crossing. And I say that because I believe there's a lot of people that are listening right now that are like me in the sense, and possibly like you, where we are ready, willing, and excited to experience life moment by moment in a pleasurable way that that's just simple as that. We want to experience life moment by moment in a pleasurable way, period. I want to experience life moment by moment in a pleasurable way. So here we are. We're all here because of different reasons, but ultimately we all want to experience life moment by moment in a pleasurable way. And so I would say to be encouraged and hopefully re-inspired that if you, like me, have become distracted and become overworked, slipped into perfection or performance or high achievement, as for those of us with those natural tendencies do during the holidays, take a minute and remember that nothing is more important, really. Nothing is more important than this moment right now, this moment, because it truly is all you have. And life is an accumulation of now. Now, plus now, plus now, plus now, plus now, plus now. So I am truly going to choose to feel the ecstatic joy of my now moment being really freaking good. My now moment is really freaking awesome. And that is attracting more awesome now moments. Till next thing you know, I'm almost through this week. It's for us, it's Thursday. You're listening to this on a Tuesday, but for us right now, it's a Thursday. So, I started this week in this energy and it has just been steady and constant, but I'm not thinking about what's the rest of this week going to look like. I'm not thinking about what did the beginning of this week look like. I'm truly thinking about, wow, this moment feels freaking awesome. And it's not because there hasn't been any contrasting moments. It's not because, my cat didn't pee in the office the other day. God knows where, couldn't find it. You know how cat pee is, right? Like you just can't find it. You just can't find that shit. It's not because I haven't had contrasting moments of like, I don't have time to clean cat pee right now or even search for cat pee right now. And while I'm in here searching for cat pee, the puppies out there tearing up the rest of the house, like it's not because I don't have contrasting moments, but when those contrasting moments come in, I like to also use Tony Robbins, who I was on a kick with him the week before last. Tony Robbins says he gives himself 90 seconds to feel that emotion, 90 seconds. So when that contrasting experience comes in and you're feeling that emotion of whatever it is, anxiousness, weariness, tired, anger, give yourself 90 seconds, feel it. But then you got to shift that emotion. Emotions make thoughts. Thoughts create matter. So we are capable of doing that. We are all capable. If we can't change anything else, if we can't manifest anything else in the tangible yet, we can shift our emotions. So I would say give yourself 90 seconds to feel this drop and then remind yourself that right now is a new moment. It's a new moment. It's a fresh moment. It's not about January 1st. It's not about December 31st. It's not about December 25th. Each moment is an opportunity for me to feel really good in this experience. And I'm going to choose that. I'm going to choose it in my mind, and I'm going to choose it every second that goes by. And I'm telling you guys, it feels really good. Did I already say that? It feels good. Try it. Try it. It's super important. It's super important. So I would ask you, what do you think? What do you think makes that the most challenging for people? What do you think is the most challenging part? If I tell somebody, take this moment and just stop right now and choose to feel good, like what do you think is the biggest challenge for people in doing that? Why is it so hard for people to do that?
Well, I think a lot of people choose to live in the past.
It is
a lot of times. And, they're totally consumed by the behavior of their kids or their schedule, that they have no time, that they feel overwhelmed, that they have all these bills and they just can't stay on top of things. There's a lot of worry, which, I've talked about before, how for myself in the past, I had associated worry with care. So, I think that people, they're, like you said, they're really trying to understand how to live in joy and to make some type of choices in their life to get there, but they just are believing that they don't know how, which is the lie. And they are consumed by the wrong things to get there. It's not that they, are irresponsible per se or not caring. I think that the reason why worry might be manifesting in their lives, or the sadness or the overwhelm is surfacing, is because those feelings are actually trying to get their attention so that they can move into being in the moment and tapping into that joy, tapping into gratefulness, thanksgiving, the mindset of what those things actually give us and allow us to step into. Because I think the natural byproduct of shifting our thoughts into that space is that we are transforming is that we do invite what I refer to as an abundant mindset, or living fully alive. You know, this joy that we speak of is meant to elevate our experience of life, so that the weightiness of all of these things that we might be focusing on or allowing ourselves to be consumed by, to actually be lightened, you know, and that they aren't overwhelming our lives, but that we can move through them knowing that, you know, they don't have to hold us back from experiencing joy, that we can sit with the challenges that maybe our families are facing, and we can find some sort of gratitude. We can find some sort of hope. We can find some sort of thing that can actually shift how the experience that we believe we're having is being made manifest, you know? So, yeah, I think in some ways it is just that simple to have a shift of perspective. And I know not everybody might necessarily want to believe that. uh, Sometimes people think that they have been born with a negative bend, you know, and it's like, well, is that really true?
Well, and similar to like what you said about I had the words exactly in my mouth just a second ago, but this isn't what you said, but what you said reminded me. So then I thought of this, and it was that sometimes that's what it was. You said when you felt worry, you associated it with being responsible. Like, I worry about you,
Care,
therefore I'm
yeah.
also connecting that with love,
Hmm.
right? You made
Yeah.
those associations. Okay, so a lot of people have also associated um, the burden and the chaos or the anxiety with importance, with value. So if I'm not worrying about it, then I'm pretending it doesn't exist. If I don't
Hmm.
worry about it, if I don't talk about it, you know, if I'm sick, I mean, quite honestly, if you shift the way you think and feel, um, even sickness will be experienced differently, and less often. But we a lot of times think that something has to be hard in order for it to be valuable. And
Hmm.
I've been, you know, that has been a thought process that I've had to reprogram. So I can understand that, you know, nothing good comes easy. You got to work hard for what you want in life. I mean, even in the case of marriage, I've heard at many marriage seminars, you know, nothing good comes easy. You got to work hard for what you love. You got to we grew up under those ideologies. This was a very big, you know, looking at athletes and Olympians are growing up, you know, it's like the Kellogg's Wheaties, you know, this was what
Hmm.
was being branded on our food. Drink milk. Like, these things were being branded on our food, these mottos and these things. And, you know, in school, and achievement awards and scholastic awards, you know, who worked the hardest. And so I think a lot of us have come with that programming that, you know, it just wouldn't be fair. And then here's the other thing too, like, well, why do I get to have so much joy today when there's so many people that are hurting? Why do I get to have all this wealth and abundance when there's so many people that are poor? And we think that there isn't enough. Oh wow. Oh wow. Oh my God, what is
I
going
don't know. I think that's awesome, though.
that is so cool. If the lights start turning off and on in my living room now, because I'm going to tell you, they have been, they don't do it anywhere else in the house, but in the living room, my husband is like, what are you doing with the lights? Every night they come. I was like, I don't know, something's trying to get your attention. And now I'm sitting in the living room, and that thumbs up keeps coming up when I make certain statements. Oh, you are not doing that, Danielle. You are not
No.
doing that. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God, that is so cool. Oh my God, is so cool. I have no idea who's trying to talk to me right now. It might be grandma. If it thumbs up right now, I will totally freak. Okay. So I can't even remember what I was going to say. If you're listening to this audio right now, you've got to go back and watch the video so you can see what we're talking about. But we're filming and there's this little thumbs up that we've never seen before on any of our videos. And it keeps coming up in the, when I'm talking. Apparently it likes what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's not popping up on my screen.
It didn't pop up on your screen yet, but it is definitely giving me a kudos. Cool. I received that. Thank you. So we're gonna wrap up here in a minute. And I think what I was saying there was that we just get really comfortable with feeling bad and thinking that everything has to be hard. And we have to work so hard. We have to work so hard. We have to work so hard. And I'm over that, man. I'm over that. And at least right now, right? I'm over it right now. And I might not call any more experiences into this experience as it pertains to that. I might not need any more contrasting experiences to show me that feeling at peace in this moment is the way I want to feel. And so I'm just believing that whatever contrasting experiences, I do resonate with and call in, that I recognize them quickly, like you said earlier in the beginning, and sit with them, process them, and understand how I can now cast that which I desire to feel into the vortex based on what I experience now in the tangible realm. Staying grounded is really how we do that too. Staying grounded. And I mean, literally grounded, feet on the ground. I'm in Florida. It comes easy for me. I'm kind of bragging. But feet on the ground. There are some really cool, if you live in parts of the world where you don't really get sunshine and you don't get to get out in nature very often, it's unfortunate that there are many people in the world that don't get to do that. And you can go online and look for products for grounding. They have grounding earthing pads that you can put in your bed and sleep on at night, but it will help you tremendously energetically, because grounding, just connecting to the earth, connecting our hands and our feet in the earth every day for 15 to 20 minutes a day, and truly quieting the monkey brain, practicing meditation. And it is a practice. For many of you that are listening, you may just now be open to it, and you may be thinking, yeah, I want to do that more often, and then maybe get frustrated with yourself because when you try, it's harder than you think. If for a lot of people, you have to start with like 30 seconds and then you work your way into a minute, and you can literally time yourself, because it's more about strengthening your capacity to sit still, strengthening your capacity to be quiet. And so in the beginning, when you're first learning how to do it, you want to make sure you stay in that long enough. So you might set a little timer. I did that years ago. I would set a timer for a minute, and then I would just sit there and try to be quiet. And it's funny how in the minute you try to do that, your monkey brain is just like thoughts left and right. But what helped me the most was knowing that I wasn't sitting there trying to empty myself of thoughts, but I was sitting there teaching myself how to focus. It's not really even emptying your mind as much as it is about focusing on the space in your energetic field that is expanding and open and not congested. So there is the space within our energetic field that is congested with these highways of thoughts. And that is a normal part of who we are. But the more we tap into the other highway that is freer and more open, and that's what we're doing when we're meditating, is we are shifting, we are getting on the ramp. And we are going on a broader highway that isn't as congested. There will be thoughts there. There will be experiences there, but it's free and it's open and it's fast and it's fast. And so when you meditate, you're getting into that space, and you do it. Sometimes you can get off a ramp quickly, and sometimes you can get off a ramp and it could take hours. And that could be the most frustrating thing when you're almost home, but you're at the ramp and there's just so much congestion there. And you're just like, oh my God, I can see it. I know I'm so stupid, but all these cars are in the way. So when you practice meditating, your ramp exit from the congested highway into that freeway space becomes less and less congested, and your ability to get off that ramp and to get up into that space becomes smoother and smoother. So in the beginning, it could feel frustrating. It could feel like, you just want that place. You just want to be there, but it feels like you got to work to get there. And it does, but it does take time, and you can pride yourself in the fact that you are practicing, and just give yourself, a couple minutes a day and increase those couple minutes a day. And that will definitely help you stay grounded. It will help you detox your body. It'll help you detox your mind. And then before Danielle, I'm going to ask you to close for us. Finally, I just want to say it's also a really good time right now to consider doing a physical detox of some kind. And so if you are, Danielle and I would love to know what you are going to do as a physical detox. We would love some suggestions as to any programs or products that you like, any methods that you like. Please make sure you leave those in the comments for us. Also for other people to see, we appreciate your help and your feedback. And Danielle, you have any final thoughts for us?
Yeah. I think that there was a lot of really profound points in this episode to kind of highlight different challenges and things that could be inspiring to people to really shift into the new year and to really sit with what kind of life people really do want and how to make that possible. So I thank you for sharing in all the different points that you did. And I just want to speak a blessing over everybody that as you enter into this new season and this new chapter, whether that's seen as a moment or that's seen as stepping into the new year, that you would just be kind to yourself and that you would be able to hold that space, not just for you, but for the environment that you find yourself in. And may you know that love is meeting you in each one of those moments and in every breath that you take, that you can tap into the source of life by just becoming aware of your breath as you breathe in and out. Perhaps you would like to marinate on a word or an idea where you, for instance, bring in love. So inhale love and exhale tension. And something so simple like that can just help you to reset and to align to what it is that you want, how you want to feel, how you want to be, how you want to exist in this moment, and how that can unfold into the next. So I just speak that blessing over you. And if you would like to contact Teresa or I, you can find both of us at meetinginthesacred.com. You can also find Teresa on Instagram at Unraveled.
Oh, actually, my website, just go to my website, unraveledtogether.com. And
Okay.
also I have some specials right now for astro readings and forecasts for Christian deconstructionists. So what that means is basically if you are on the path of deconstructing Christianity or toxic religious beliefs, and astrology has been a big no-no to you in the past, I'm very helpful on helping you understand my journey as I believe God showed me and brought me back to the story in the stars that we call astrology. So I'd love to work with you and help you. If you're not a Christian deconstructionist, I still have special pricing available to you if you would like to get an intuitive astro session and a New Year forecast for the planetary energies that are working for you to support you in this change of season. So unraveledtogether.com. And then Danielle, you can be found at Instagram at
You Are Fully Alive.
You Are Fully Alive.
For my coaching.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And if you're curious about any of my creations, I do make jewelry. You can go to Raw Elegance Creations on Instagram.
Raw
So,
Elegance Creations. We're going to drop
yeah.
all of that in the description below as well. Thank you, Danielle.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Everybody have an amazing moment, and then another amazing moment, and then another amazing moment until we see you again or talk to you again. Bye, everyone.